Well, shoppers are still running toward the Nike brand despite inflationary headwinds and an overall pullback in spending. The retail giant beat on earnings and revenue in its latest quarter as the company saw record growth in its digital membership platform. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance Josh Schafer, who's been looking at the numbers here. Josh, inventory is still a big concern. That's why we've heard a lot of talk about Nike's markdown, but they've had some success in full price footwear. What's the lineup look like?
Yeah, Kiko. So obviously inventories have been a concern, and that's why we've talked a lot about markdowns and wholesale, and that's sort of what drove that big revenue beat that we've been talking about with the stock up its highest in a year and a half today. But direct sales is also a space where Nike has had a lot of success. So direct sales were $5.4 billion last quarter, up 16%. And direct-to-consumer sales is something that Nike often talks about when we're talking about growth, because that's where they grow in that sneakers app. They have 160 million active members now, and that's where people can log on, they directly interact with Nike, and they buy sneakers there. Now, they singled out a few sneakers in the earnings call. Always fun to kind of take a look at those, right? So CFO Matthew Friend noted that the LeBron 20, the KDs, and the latest Giannis shoe led double-digit growth in basketball. And then all the way on the right there, you can see the Air Jordan 11 Varsity Red, which is an ode to the '01 Cherry Jordans. Those also did very well, and that sort of speaks to Nike's success recently with Jordans. Another thing they mentioned was that Dunks have also outperformed in men's. We talk a decent amount about Nike Dunks here on the program, and that will be one to watch going into next year too, Rochelle, as far as the Pandas, the Nike Dunk Pandas. They just released some mids, and it'll be interesting to see how those sell because we know the Nike Dunk Pandas, the lows, go pretty much instantly on that sneakers app, and then people are trying to buy them on resale at places like StockX.
And of course, we've got the heels of the World Cup. A lot of people like to follow some of the shoes of their favorite stars. What sort of sneakers trends did you see during the World Cup?
Well, Rochelle, a little bit of maybe your rival, right? Mbappe over at France had a great tournament. He won the Golden Boot. And Nike was bragging about it a lot on their earnings call yesterday, perhaps rightfully so. So you can see it right there. It's the Mercurial. And that cleat scored more goals than any other cleat in the World Cup per Nike. They also said the Nike boots dominated the World Cup as a whole and scored more goals than any other brand. And really, I think when you think about what the World Cup meant for Nike, to have those cleats do so well and have Mbappe wearing them, a young star, I do think is a huge win for the brand from a global scale because, of course, we talk about soccer a lot being big here, but maybe not as big as it is obviously worldwide. And for them to have them wearing those cleats rather than, say, Messi, who wears Adidas, and Messi had that Adidas jersey that sold out, it's a win for Nike in the footwear space to have the World Cup's top scorer wearing their cleat. And they took a little bit of a victory lap on it last night, guys.
Yeah, no amount of advertising, right? That can pay for that. I mean, that is just, 90 minutes of exposure per match.
It's exactly what you look for when you get a athlete sponsor, right? It's the same reason why they've sought out people like LeBron for those shoes and people like Giannis, because they're hoping that the championship moment happens with their shoe and their cleat on. And then that's where you get those direct-to-consumer sales at Kiko at full price, because at some point the inventory problem's going to be solved and the margins, they say, are going to come back in the next 2 quarters. You're going to have to sell full-price shoes, and it looks like there's still demand there with these popular basketball shoes, the soccer cleats, and, of course, everything else Nike has. They have plenty.
Yeah, good point there. They're not short on products. Josh Schafer, thanks so much for bringing us that report.